Mr. Smith, I'm Detective Lee, the Anchorage Police Department. I just want to show you my badge, my ID, so you know you're talking to. This is Detective Bell, my partner. We have some matters we wanted to clear up with you and talk to you today, so I appreciate you coming up here with these guys and talking to me.
In September 2019, a homeless woman named Valerie Casler contacted police desperate for help after finding something no one should ever see on a stranger's phone. Although Brian Stephen Smith claimed he was just an ordinary husband and drone enthusiast, it was a complete lie.
That's why I got a GoPro. It's got a very high frame rate. So I'm trying to capture, if you ever look on YouTube, you'll see the guys shooting through like latex or through bottles or something.
What investigators uncovered is one of the most horrifying cases Alaska has ever seen. A sinister plan captured in crystal clear high definition. He didn't just kill. He directed and narrated the murder of Kathleen Jo Henry like his own personal blockbuster. Anchorage became the perfect hunting ground for this sociopath who believed he was the smartest man in every room. Our deepest condolences to the families of Kathleen Jo Henry and Veronica Abuchuk. This is the minute-by-minute breakdown of the most disturbing interrogation in Alaskan history, and the accidental hero who brought a serial killer to justice.
You die, you live, you die, you live, you die. Sadly.
On September 6th, 2019, Brian made a single amateur mistake that no amount of planning could fix. He lost his phone. And the woman who found it wasn't a detective or a high-tech investigator. She was a homeless woman named Valerie, who had just spent hours sitting in the passenger seat of his truck, inches away from the very phone that contained a video titled "Homicide." To understand how Brian Smith was caught, you have to understand the sheer randomness of the night he met Valerie Casler. Valerie Casler's involvement in this case is one of the most incredible accidents in criminal history. It was a chilly, rainy night in Anchorage. Valerie was vulnerable, living in a tent, just trying to stay dry. When a man in a blue truck offered her a ride, it felt like a rare moment of kindness in a harsh world.
And it was raining that night. And then he goes, well, it's raining. You want to ride around?
For the next few hours, Brian played the role of a friend. They drove through the city, even stopping by the airport to watch planes take off into the dark sky. It was a bizarre domestic scene. But while Brian was inside a gas station, Valerie dropped her phone on the floor of the truck.
Accidentally drops her phone onto the floor.
And when I reached down, I grabbed two phones. And you get like that chill feeling, you know? Something was not right.
She takes his phone and
she picked up two phones. One was hers. The other belonged to the man who was currently buying her snacks. She slipped both into her pocket. She didn't check the extra phone until she was back in the safety of her tent. What she found wasn't just a video, it was a nightmare. She scrolled through dozens of photos and videos. She saw a woman, later identified as Kathleen Jo Henry, laying on a hotel room floor. She saw a man's hand, Brian's hand, around her throat. She heard his voice.
Valerie can't believe what she's seeing. She scrolls further through the folder.
Valerie didn't go to the police right away. She was terrified. She hid in the woods for days, convinced that Brian would track her down once he realized his phone and his secrets were in the hands of a witness. This is the part of the story the news often misses. The psychological toll on the woman who accidentally became a serial killer's keeper. While Valerie was hiding in the woods, Brian Smith was living his life. He even went on vacation to Washington, D.C. with his wife, Stephanie. He truly believed he had gotten away with it. But back in Anchorage, detectives were reviewing the footage on the SD card Valerie had finally worked up the courage to turn in. The lead detective recognized the voice immediately. It was unique, a blend of South African and Dutch influences. They knew exactly who they were looking for.
Mr. Smith, I'm Detective Lee, the Anchorage Police Department. I just want to show you my badge, my ID, so you know you're talking. This is Detective Bell, my partner. We have some matters we wanted to clear up with you and talk to you today, so I appreciate you coming up here with these guys and talking to me. Obviously, we're here at the airport. They brought you up here to talk to me, so we have some kind of a formality to get by. I have to read you what's called a Miranda warning.
When Brian landed back in Alaska, he was met by detectives. They didn't storm the plane. They were calm. They treated it like a routine conversation. Brian, ever the narcissist, thought he could talk his way out of anything. He even tried to build rapport by talking about his GoPro and his nature videos.
That's why I got a GoPro. It's got a very high frame rate. So I'm trying to capture, if you ever look on YouTube, you'll see the guys shooting through like latex or through bottles or something, and you can see the bullet going through.
Shooting a bullet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But notice the shift in the room. The detectives start showing him photos, not of the murder, but of his truck. They wanted him to confirm the small details first. They wanted him to commit to the truth of the day before they showed him the truth of the crime.
Okay, what's on the card?
Right off the bat, detectives don't reveal what they already know. Instead, they show Brian photos of a car that matches his. They also ask about a hotel room he rented for 2 nights. Brian admits he had picked up a woman from the street and taken her there. That's when detectives bring out the photos of the deceased woman, the same one seen on the SD card footage from the hotel room.
I just wanted to show you these pictures, see if they would help you kind of refresh the girl from that night.
No, that's not her.
Not her?
Just short hair.
Short hair, okay.
Short hair, no.
Okay, all right.
She looks like a drug addict.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this woman before?
No.
Brian admits he was at the Marriott. He admits he picked up a woman. He's digging his own grave, one honest answer at a time. The turning point of the interrogation happens when the detective finally puts the images from the SD card on the table. This is where most people would break, but Brian Smith isn't most people. He looks at photos of himself strangling a woman and says, "I don't know whose feet those are."
There's somebody's feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whose feet are those?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm looking at your shoes. I mean, it looks like the shoes you're wearing right now.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay. Is it safe to say those are your feet in that picture?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not the only person that's got shoes like this.
Okay.
This is a classic sociopathic tactic, selective amnesia. He admits it sounds like his voice. He admits the shoes look like his. But he refuses to connect the dots. He claims he was in a weakened state of mind because of the trip.
Super, but I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything.
Okay.
When I landed, when they stopped me, I was already, in the legal terms of the words they use, is in a weakened state of mind. For an hour and a half, I said, I didn't do that, I didn't do that, I didn't do that. Over.
But the detectives don't let up. They show him the file structure of the SD card. They show him that the files were modified weeks after the murder. If he didn't remember it, why was he editing the videos? Why was he renaming the folders?
Marriott Hotel, Midtown, Anchorage. And this was modified on September 24th, 20 days later.
I did not do that. Why would I make a file like that?
Detectives also obtain his phone.
The logic of his lies begins to fail. He's cornered, and the normal guy facade is starting to dissolve. He's no longer the helpful neighbor. He's a man watching his world burn in a small, windowless room. True crime history is full of killers who confess to more than they're caught for, usually to gain some kind of leverage or attention. Brian Smith is no different. Just as the detectives are wrapping up the interview, Brian drops a bombshell.
Are you guys in a rush to go home?
Are we in a rush?
Yeah.
You want to talk some more?
We're not in a rush. We got
all night.
I have 2 days.
I saw your ears do that.
You know what? I mean, that's what we do. We love to talk.
Some time ago.
He doesn't just confess to Kathleen Jo Henry. He tells them about Veronica Abachuk. He tells them he shot her years ago because she smelled. The coldness in his voice as he describes this is perhaps the most bone-chilling part of the entire tape.
And I was getting upset, and I said to her, go take a shower, because now there's smell in the house. Stephanie would smell like there was a homeless person in the house. Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't do it. She kept saying, no. And I was worried that she's going to vomit now, because then I realized that she really had been drinking a lot. No excuse, but I'd also been drinking a hell of a lot. Like I said,
he describes the murder like he's describing taking out the trash. No emotion, no regret. Just a technical problem, a smell in his house that he solved with a bullet. He even jokes about being on America's Dumbest Criminals because he left so much evidence behind.
Dumbest Criminals.
There's some relief. It's got to be some relief.
I feel better. I feel a lot better. That's why I wanted to tell you about this.
To Brian, the tragedy wasn't the loss of life. It was the fact that he was dumb enough to get caught. It's a window into the mind of a predator who views other human beings as nothing more than props in his personal movie. The investigation didn't stop in the interrogation room. Detectives began digging into Brian's social life and found Alicia Youngblood. Alicia was Brian's mistress, and her testimony would reveal just how deep Brian's obsession with violence went. Alicia wasn't just a girlfriend. She was a woman living in fear. She told police that Brian had shown her the murder videos. He would boast about them. He would force her to engage in disturbing sexual acts while he talked about his power over others.
I don't know what I'm doing to get this information. I'm doing all kinds of crazy sexual acts with him to get this information out of him and having to pretend to like it.
Trying to get information out of him, she did everything she could to keep him satisfied. But after a while, she couldn't take it anymore.
I can't do this anymore. He's getting more wild.
She was essentially a prisoner of his secrets. She tried to go to the police a year before he was finally caught. But without the physical evidence of the phone, her claims didn't go far. It highlights a tragic truth of this case. Kathleen Jo Henry might still be alive today if Brian's earlier boasts had been taken more seriously. Alicia eventually left Alaska, broken by the trauma of her time with Smith. She never got to testify at the trial, passing away before she could see him sentenced. But her words, captured in police interviews, served as a final indictment of the man who thought he was a director. During the trial, Brian's defense tried one last desperate move, the Bradley persona. Brian claimed he had an alter ego, a man named Bradley, who was responsible for his darker impulses.
And act cruel online. He seems to suggest that this alter ego might be responsible for the murder, but detectives aren't buying it. To them, Brad isn't suffering from a split personality. He's simply a disturbed man who knew exactly what he was doing.
But the jury didn't buy it. To them, and to the detectives who spent hours with him, there was no Bradley. There was only Brian, a man who used technology to amplify his cruelty. He wasn't a divided soul. He was a sociopath who enjoyed every second of the pain he inflicted. The evidence was overwhelming. The truck's carpet, which he had bleached to kill the germs, still held traces of his crimes. The phone towers placed him at the dump sites. And of course, there was his own voice, narrating the end of Kathleen Jo Henry's life.
All 14 counts, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, second-degree sexual assault, tampering with evidence, and misconduct involving a corpse. On July 12, 2024, a judge sentences him to 226 years in prison. With the trial now over,
Brian Smith is now 52 years old. He will spend the rest of his life in an Alaskan prison. He won't have a GoPro. He won't have a drone. He won't have an audience. But as the case closed, one terrifying question lingered. Smith moved to Alaska from South Africa in 2014. Before that, his life is a black hole. Alicia claimed he told her about victims as young as 15 back in his home country.
He told me one of his victims was as young as 15, where he's from. I think 15 was the youngest.
Okay.
But on the other hand, we don't know. We do not know, really.
How many other movies did Brian Smith make? How many other families are still waiting for their loved ones to come home? We may never know. But because a homeless woman named Valerie picked up the wrong phone on a rainy night in September, one of the most dangerous directors in the world has finally seen his final cut. This case is a stark reminder of how fragile safety can be, and how powerful a single camera lens can become. In an age where we are surrounded by surveillance, sometimes the most ordinary footage captures the most extraordinary evil. Valerie Casler, a woman living on the streets, became the hero who stopped a serial killer. She deserves far more than thanks. She deserves safety, support, and recognition for the lives she saved. Brian Stephen Smith thought he was making movies. He thought he was in control. He thought no one would ever see. But the cameras saw, the phones saw, and justice saw.
all 14 counts, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, second-degree sexual assault, tampering with evidence, and misconduct involving a corpse. On July 12, 2024, a judge sentences him to 226 years in prison. With the trial now over.
So the next time you see a security camera blinking above a store, remember this story. Evil hides in plain sight until the cameras capture it, until someone like Valerie decides to look.
Dumbest criminals.
There's some relief. It's got to be some relief.
I feel better. I feel a lot better. That's why I wanted to tell you about this.
Thank you for watching. If you believe Valerie deserves a public reward or support fund, comment below. Share this story so more people know her name. Stay safe out there. The cameras are always watching. And sometimes, that's exactly what saves us. See you in the next video.